let's get into my top 10 NFL mock draft post-combine edition. Got you covered. Let's go to number 1 overall. And I made a big-time switch, and it's probably going to draw some controversy, and I understand that. Saquon Barkley, number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. Can I just say for a minute how exciting the number 1 overall pick is going to be for this year's NFL draft? And I think a few weeks ago it wasn't as exciting because it was either Darnold or Rosen. But all of a sudden, and maybe Tom Downey can correct me on this, but the post-combine buzz has gotten me into a zone where I feel there are 4 potential options at the number 1 overall pick. Saquon Barkley, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and you heard it here first, Josh freaking Allen out of Wyoming. I think those are all potential number 1 overall picks. So I think it's going to be a lot of excitement here in terms of that top pick for the Cleveland Browns. And what can I say about Saquon? So I think you have to get the most exciting player in the NFL draft, and I think it is Saquon Barkley. You draft him number 1, and you run to the next tee, as they say in the golfing world. You draft him, and you don't look back. So from my understanding, and from what I have gathered, the Browns aren't in love with any particular quarterback out there. So why go ahead and get one at number 1 overall when at number 4 overall you can draft a Rosen if he falls to you, a Mayfield. If you're liking Josh Allen, go ahead and get Josh Allen. Maybe Sam Darnold if he falls that far. So if you weigh all of your quarterbacks on a plateau in a sense and that they're all equal, and I'm not saying that they do, but from what I've gathered, that seems to be the indication, you go ahead and draft Saquon Barkley at number 1. And that's kind of the luxury the Browns have. They have number 1 and number 4. So Saquon, 6 feet tall, 233 pounds, ran a 4.4 40, posted a 41-inch vertical leap, and recorded 29 bench press reps. Now, Saquon is battling the odds here because no running back has gone number 1 overall in this millennium. You have to go back all the way to 1995 when the number 1 song on the top 40 list was like Scrubs or something. We're going way back. So that was the last time a running back went number 1 overall. So Saquon Barkley is looking to be the first person in the 2000s to actually accomplish that feat. By the way, homework for the audience right now. Find out the number 1 song in 1995 and let me know in the comments section because I'm actually really curious. I made a guess with Scrubs, but I don't know. So Saquon Barkley. GM John Dorsey also said at the Senior Bowl that he will take the best player at number 1 overall. That's certainly not Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. I think it's Saquon Barkley. Energize the fan base, John. Saquon goes number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. Let's go to number 2 now. Josh Rosen going to the New York Giants. And by the way, as I go through these picks, I'm not projecting trades. There will be trades in the top 10. I can guarantee it. But just predicting those is just like rolling a dice. Doesn't really make much sense. So Josh Rosen, elite footwork and balance. Has that quarterback look when he delivers the football. That's what I like about him when you watch the tape. Did not have the best combine, though. He really struggled with outbreaking routes such as posts and speed outs, and that's somewhat concerning for me. But we have to take combine with a grain of salt, right? These are guys that are in T-shirts and throwing footballs that way. I mean, they're not in full pads. They don't have an offensive line in front of them. They don't have Bradley Chubb, for example, coming after them, or Ndamukong Suh. But he did struggle with ball placement and accuracy at the combine. And so it's something that we should all monitor in terms of his draft stock. I still have him here at number 2. I was very tempted to move him down below Darnold and maybe even Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. But here's the deal. It makes sense here to the Giants because the Giants are not in any hurry right now in terms of getting a start now running or quarterback. Josh Rosen can go to the New York Giants and learn and be groomed under the offensive mind that is Pat Shurmur, who's the new head coach there for New York. Let Eli Manning perhaps play some sort of mentor role, and maybe even the Giants get a veteran quarterback like Josh McCown or Case Keenum or whatever, and that player can also kind of mentor Josh Rosen as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for Rosen to learn under some very intelligent people within the New York Giants organization. I'm not even sure if the Giants are even all that concerned with Josh Rosen's performance at the Combine. He's going to get another chance at his pro day as well, so we can monitor that. He does need help in terms of leadership. And whether or not that is something that can be taught is up for debate. But I think the Giants staff / veteran players are in a position where perhaps they can mold Josh Rosen into some sort of leader. All right, so he goes number 2 overall to the Giants. Big time switch for me at number 3 overall. I originally had Quenton Nelson, the premier guard out of Notre Dame. Don't have him there anymore. Why? Because I have convinced myself that Bradley Chubb is a freak at the defensive end position, and there is a big gap between Chubb and the next tier of edge rushers out there, the Landrys of the world and the Davenports of the world. And I was convinced about that when I looked at the Combine results. So, yes, the Colts could go Quenton Nelson at number 3 overall. But let's remember, there's going to be a good amount of solid guards to hit free agency. And the Colts have a good amount of salary cap space as well. So the Colts could go ahead and say, all right, we will go ahead and get Andrew Norwell via free agency, and then we can address the defense with our number 3 overall pick. And that's where I see things going down. So Bradley Chubb goes to number 3, and you look at his Combine results, ran a 4.65 40, among the best players, or among the best at that position for him. He benched 24 reps, which is solid on the bench there, and 36-inch vertical leap, and 121-inch broad jump as well. Bradley Chubb didn't really get talked about much after the Combine. He didn't gobble up the headlines like Shaquem Griffin did or Saquon Barkley either. But that's because Chubb performed up to expectations. Like, everybody knows how good this guy is. And so because he had such a great Combine, everybody's like, oh, okay, of course, we expected that. So Bradley Chubb at number 3 overall. I think the Colts need help on that front 7. They were second to last in sacks in 2017. And the team out there that is probably going to be the most PO'd about the Colts getting Bradley at number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they were dead last in sacks last year. Jamal Sheard led the way for the Colts with 5.5 sacks in 2017. John Simon was okay. And like I said, big-time drop-off after Bradley Chubb. The Colts have to get this guy. So there is number 3. Let's go to number 4 overall, the Cleveland Browns yet again. Thanks to the Houston Texans, they draft Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC. I think he goes at this spot. 6'3", roughly 221 pounds. He's got that prototypical quarterback size, throws a tight spiral, trusts his arm really well, great pocket presence too. Here's the thing. We did not see him throw at the Combine, elected not to do so. So all eyes will be on him at the USC Pro Day on March 21st. So I reserve the right to change the number 4 overall pick here for the Cleveland Browns because I want to see how Sam Darnold does at the Pro Day. Now, I actually think this is a smart decision on the part of Darnold. Why? Because Sam Darnold at his Pro Day will be throwing to players that he is familiar with. In the case of the Combine, you're not so familiar with these guys. So that's kind of that edge there that Sam Darnold may have over other players. There's no negative tape to look at from the Combine, like, for example, there would be with Josh Rosen. So the debate goes on. Is it Rosen? Is it Allen? Is it Mayfield? Who is the best quarterback in the 2018 NFL Draft? Hit me with those reactions. Give us a heart for Sam Darnold, a like for Josh Rosen, a laughing face for Josh Allen, and a wow face for Baker Mayfield. And, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit me in the comments section below. If you look at the potentiality for Sam Darnold to be that number one overall pick to the Cleveland Browns, you compare the 40 times here with Jameis Winston and Jared Goff, former number 1 overall picks. Goff ran a 4.82. Winston ran a 4.97. Darnold ran a 4.85. He's smack dab in the middle of those two. Here, I think the Browns will be quite happy to have Darnold over Rosen at number 4 overall. That is my understanding. And with them grabbing Barkley at number 1, I think Darnold at number 4 would be a dream scenario, barring any sort of disaster at the pro day, but I doubt that's going to happen. Let's go to number 5 overall in my top 10 mock draft. The Denver Broncos will select Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. I'm buying into it. I moved Baker Mayfield down my list. And I'm not saying I 100% agree with this pick, but I just see it happening. And by the way, I have to assume that the Denver Broncos also miss out on the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes and the Case Keenum sweepstakes and all this stuff, and their hands are kind of tied here. So we're assuming that. But Josh Allen, he's a big fella, 6'5", 237, has fantastic arm strength and talent. The tape shows that. And you look at his combine, and it helped him a lot. Showcased his ideal quarterback build while he was there, showed the great arm ability, hit receivers in stride up to 70 yards downfield, showed great ball placement too, great lower body mechanics. It's clear he's been working on what everybody out there has been criticizing. Yes, the 56 completion rate is something that's hard to look past for many GMs out there. Yes, the Denver Broncos have failed with tall, big-armed quarterbacks, i.e. Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch. I get it. But if Denver loses out on Kirk, perhaps to the Minnesota Vikings, which is very, very possible, and to Case Keenum, very, very possible, maybe the Arizona Cardinals come swooping in, they might not have a better option here at number 5 overall. They probably have to address the interior of their offensive line. They could look to other areas as well. And Baker Mayfield, by the way, very much in play at number 5, too. It really depends on where John Elway sees this offense going from a schematic standpoint. And what do I mean by that? With new offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave, does Denver want to be that running, hard play action type of team, or more of a West Coast feel? And I think if it's a hard play action type of team, fire the football down the field coming off some running success, I think Josh Allen is your quarterback. If you want more of a short pop kind of offense and a West Coast kind of deal, I think it maybe should be Baker Mayfield. So as of now, I've got Josh Allen at number 5 overall going to the Denver Broncos. Let's go to number 6. I talked about Baker Mayfield. He will be drafted by the New York Jets. I am coining this phrase. So remember it, folks. Big Apple Baker. Book it. I like it. And a few QB coaches actually talked about how well Mayfield did at the Combine. I think his stock is rising. And I'm buying into it. And Mayfield measured in at 6 feet, 5'8" inches tall. You know, he's not a statuesque kind of guy by any means. And in the past 15 drafts, the only quarterback shorter than 6'1" to be drafted in the first round was Johnny Manziel. So please just do me a favor, folks. Forget the Manziel narrative, because obviously Baker Mayfield is an individual. He's his own person. He's not Johnny Manziel. All right, so those comparisons just aren't fair. So is there some immaturity issues here with Baker? Totally. Understand that. Yes, he's got to work through some things, and, you know, I think he's getting better in that regard. Here's what really draws me with Baker and the Jets, and I want to know what you guys think about this in the comments section. I think he's a great fit for offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates. Jeremy Bates is a guy I respect a lot, and he's a young guy too, 42 years old, and I think that can help him connect well with a young player like Baker Mayfield. Bates has a great history of developing quarterbacks as well. You may recall that in 2008, Bates was the Broncos quarterbacks coach, and Jay Cutler made the freaking Pro Bowl that year. Like, Jay Cutler, ladies and gentlemen, you just saw him last year stink up the joint for the Miami Dolphins. So that's the kind of prowess that Jeremy Bates has. He has worked with quarterbacks ever since 2004. So I'm buying into that. and I'm buying into Big Apple Baker, but would you draft Baker Mayfield? I want to hear from you. Pretend you're a general manager, okay? You're in Dallas, and you have to decide on the quarterback of your future. Are you drafting Baker Mayfield, or are you looking elsewhere? If you want to talk about competitiveness and grit and chip on your shoulder, Baker Mayfield is your guy. He's got that competitive edge that I think other players out there may not have, i.e. Josh Rosen. So I got Baker going 6 overall to the New York Jets. Let's check in with number 7 overall. So at this point, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are very angry because they have missed out on Bradley Chubb because the Colts got him at number 3. So with the Buccaneers missing out on a great edge rusher, they got to go to another need, and that is the guard position. Quenton Nelson is my guy. Best run blocker in the draft, and great footwork and quickness, too, in pass protection. He may be the best overall player in the 2018 NFL Draft. He's not going to go number 1 overall, but he may be that best player, and he's an absolute road grader. The Bucs, they tied for 27th in rushing average last season with 3.7 yards per attempt. If you watch the tape on Quenton Nelson, it is quite clear. He blows defenders off the ball. He's got a great initial punch. He is very aggressive, and also he can do zone blocking and man blocking. 2 different type of schemes, and he can do them both because he has the movement to do zone blocking, but he also has that mauling ability in run blocking as well. So Quenton Nelson, I think, would be a great fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and guards Kevin Pamphile and Evan Smith are expected to hit free agency as well. So you're already seeing some holes here on that offensive line for the Buccaneers that has already struggled. So I think Tampa would be making a major mistake if they pass up on Quenton Nelson at number 7. This is also assuming that Bradley Chubb does not fall to them. So if Bradley Chubb is there, I think they go with Chubb and perhaps address the guard position in free agency. But if Chubb is taken, Quenton Nelson has to go. And oh, by the way, you got to protect Jameis Winston, because this guy, and Jameis, is coming off an AC joint injury and missed some games last year. So if you're the Tampa Bay leadership, if you're Dirk Cutter, who, by the way, I have no understanding why he is the head coach still, you got to think about the franchise, and you got to think about Jameis Winston and protecting him. So I think Quenton Nelson is step number 1 for them. All right, let's go to number 8 overall. The Chicago Bears. Will they get Calvin Ridley? Did I leave him on the board here? No, I did not. Give me Tremaine Edmunds, a linebacker out of Virginia Tech. I was not very impressed with Calvin Ridley in the Combine. Did not measure out well. It did not measure to the liking of what I really wanted. And I was already saying for many weeks that the Chicago Bears would be reaching for Calvin Ridley. So I think they could go in the direction of Tremaine Edmunds here, and I love this pick. And with the news of Kyle Fuller getting the transition tag, I don't think corner is a need here at number 8, perhaps maybe in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds, etc. Edmunds went off at the Combine. Look at these numbers. You got 4.54 40-yard dash at 253 pounds. Did 19 reps on the bench press, logged the 12th longest broad jump as well. And his time in 2017 with the Hokies totaled 109 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. He is a playmaker. And the Bears, meanwhile, cut a pair of veteran pass rushers in Pernell McPhee and Willie Young recently. So now there's a hole at the linebacking core for Chicago. I think they could use an athlete like Tremaine Edmunds. I really do. I challenge you out there to bring a better name for me in the comments section, because I really don't know if there is one for Chicago. I mean, I think their secondary is in fine shape. I know Prince Amukamara is going to walk into free agency and see what he can do. But addressing the linebacker position is something that I'm watching. And Tremaine Edmunds, he's got a lot of positional versatility too. And General Manager Ryan Pace has been vocal about improving the linebacking core. Edmunds was mostly an inside guy at Virginia Tech, but he has shown flashes at edge as well. You can throw him in many different areas. on that defensive side. So with that, Chicago, they go with Tremaine Edmunds at number 8 overall. All right, so the 49ers and the Raiders flipped the coin. The 49ers won it, so they select number 9 overall. And with this pick, they will select Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back out of Alabama. And all the 49ers fans watching this video right now are like, what the heck? We don't need a safety. I get it. The 49ers, they have Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tart, Adrian Colbert. Understood. Minkah Fitzpatrick is not just a safety. He's not just a corner. And honestly, who cares where you put this guy in the secondary? He is an unbelievable talent. And I think it would be a mistake for the 49ers to kind of look past Minkah Fitzpatrick here at number 9. I did not have him in a previous top 10 mock draft, and I got a little flack for that. I went into the combine, watched the tape of the combine. I was convinced that this guy needs to go in the top 10. He's a special kind of player, and he's definitely not a pure safety. He's got above average height, weight, and long limbs, light on his feet, accelerates quickly, and shows loose hips, which is very much necessary in terms of secondary coverage. So Minkah Fitzpatrick is a guy I really do like. You see there in your graphic, ran a 4.47 40-yard dash. And the 49ers, they may not need help at the safety position, but they do need help in general in the secondary. And Fitzpatrick has this mold of a modern NFL defensive back, a guy you can put in many different areas. And I think the 49ers would have a field day with utilizing Minkah Fitzpatrick in that secondary. You could see the 49ers perhaps address the corner position in free agency. Maybe they get Tremaine Johnson. Maybe they get Malcolm Butler. Who knows? But at number 9 overall, with Quenton Nelson gone, right, because they, of course, have to address the guard position, Bradley Chubb's gone too, another guy you could perhaps see going to the 49ers. Your hands are kind of tied at this point. Tremaine Edmunds gone as well, and he has been mocked to the 49ers too. So I'm not putting Denzel Ward at number 9 overall. I'm sorry, folks. I'm putting Minkah Fitzpatrick there because I think he has the overall talent over Denzel Ward. Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Alabama going to the San Francisco 49ers. Finally at number 10 overall, the Oakland Raiders will select Roquan Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. So I'm keeping Roquan here at number 10. Navarro Bowman isn't expected to return, so there's a hole at linebacker, and Roquan Smith showed great speed at the combine, ran a 4.51 40. He did experience hamstring issues after that run, so he did shut it down. So it's a little concerning there, but I don't think anybody should really sweat about that. Has fantastic speed to cover sideline to sideline. He can run with running backs and pass coverage, which is something that I think the Raiders should certainly value here at number 10 overall. And I guess you could make an argument for Joshua Jackson or Denzel Ward here because the Raiders do have needs at the cornerback position, but maybe they get Tremaine Johnson during free agency. And once they get Tremaine Johnson, maybe that need isn't as high. So Roquan Smith is a popular pick here for many mock drafters out there to go to the Oakland Raiders. I'm going to stick with him here at number 10. I like this position. And the Raiders, a franchise that have not really addressed linebacker all that well in the draft in recent years, I think it's time to start addressing it. And Reggie McKenzie, the general manager, a former linebacker in his own right, should probably start realizing that the linebacking core is fairly important. We do have a recap as well for my top 10 NFL mock draft post-combine edition. Let's take a look at 1 through 5. Saquon Barkley going to the Cleveland Browns. Josh Rosen to the Giants. Bradley Chubb, number 3, to the Colts. Sam Darnold goes to the Browns. And Josh Allen goes to the Broncos, followed by Big Apple Baker to the Jets, Quenton Nelson to the Bucks, Tremaine Edmunds goes to the Chicago Bears, Minkah Fitzpatrick goes to the San Francisco 49ers, and Roquan Smith goes to the Oakland Raiders at number 10 overall.